Welcome back to Learn BC. You're here with Jared, and we're talking about order to cash. It's about taking sales orders all the way through to money in the bank. We're up to SOP-O2C-08, and this is a bi-part video. It covers two things. We're talking about demand planning and demand forecasting. What does that mean, the demand forecast? And we're talking about customer contracts being a blanket sales order, which ties into we're planning for future agreements before they become demand. And a sales order is when it falls and becomes demand. So let's get into this. Now, three things: context and rules. Let's make sure we understand what the trigger, preconditions, and key principles are. Understand the procedure, step, and I'll do a demo. And we're going to talk through the outcomes. Negative, if it's an exception, what went wrong, and positives, post conditions. So please like, share, subscribe, and email us at how@learnbc.today. Let's get started. Well, here in demand planning and blanket sales orders really are two different worlds, okay? So let's start stepping through it. A demand forecast is like a budget. If you do a budget, you break it down by day, week, or month, okay? So you have your budget and you might have a general ledger code and an amount of money or something. With this, demand forecast is not about money. It's about quantities of inventory. So when you look at your demand, one of two things is going to be, it's either I need these new numbers, which is net change, at this time, or I need a balance at this time. And so your demand forecast sets that. It's a setting in the header of it. Which is it? And do we want one forecast by location? And we're going to do that. So we'll go through that today. So what is the impact? Well, the MRP, the requisitions plan within Business Central, is affected by top level documents. So when we say a source document, like an order, so sales order, okay, production order, assembly order, transfer order, all of them are orders. You could have projects included in there, service order, all of them. When you put an item on an order, the demand planner goes, we need that item, we need it. The way that I describe it is by taking a bottle, like this bottle just here, and cutting it in half and putting a balloon over it and taking the cap off. Now, if there's no air pressure, the balloon sits flat, and that's what your ERP does. Parity for it is at zero, it's at flat. Okay, now, when someone says, I'm selling 10, right? I'm selling 10 that I don't have, the balloon bends inwards, right? And says, I need 10, and it puts pressure on the system to say, you need to sort this out, okay? You need to fulfill my need because I need to go back to parity. And so the ERP, from an MRP perspective, is all about helping you make sure that you've got what you need. So as a salesperson, this is flipping fantastic. If your team use planning properly, it means if you don't have it in stock, they can get it in stock. They can plan for it. You can plan for big and small, complex and simple transactions. And your demand forecast complements your orders to make sure that you always have what you need to meet the customer's agreement. Now, another way that we take up an agreement is a contract with a customer for supply. And we call that a blanket sales order. So let's say you're going to sell 1,000 tables per month to this particular customer. Well, that means we need to put it on a record somewhere. We need to know that it's happening, and we need to make sure that we're going to have the stock. So we enter into a contract, we put it in the system as a blanket sales order, and when we're ready to start planning for that month, we create a sales order from that one line. So we might split it into 12 lines for 12 months. I'll show you that. And then we convert them down into sales orders. So what is the trigger? The trigger here is you need to project for future sales. This could be you meet with your team, you've seen the items that you need to move, and you make a sales demand report for the next 30, 60, 90 days of materials that you need the team to go manufacture for you in that time. That's one way, and I've seen that. I have customers that do that. All right, and they load that as a demand forecast, and then the planner runs off what they believe they're going to need. Alternatively, you've signed a big contract. When a customer signs a long-term contract for large supply and you need phased deliveries, you do a blanket sales order. So what do we need to know? A forecast is just another method of demand. So your order level does that. So if you've got your sales order, your production order, your assembly order, your transfer order, your service order, your project, all of these create demand. If you put an item on them, the demand system reacts and goes, okay, I need to solve it. The demand forecast is a complete separate system. It's like budgeting versus actual demand. And when you run your planner, you run it for what the demand is in the system plus which demand forecast you want to use as well. And that is how your procurement team get notified as to what they need to do. So blankets are contracts. It is actually a signed contract between you and another party for you to supply. You register it, but it sits outside of the demand system. It will show on it that it exists. So if you run a demand planner, it'll say, hey, this item, by the way, there's 3 blanket orders for this product. And so your procurement officer will go, oh, that's interesting, and they can see it. But a blanket order does not affect demand. Not until you take the line and create a sales order, and then the demand comes into full force. All right. And so the warning here with forecasting consumption, you need to understand, let's say I've planned on 1,000 tables a month. I've got a blanket sales order for 1,000 tables a month. When I convert 1,000 down, the demand of 1,000 gets met with the 1,000 that I sold. Let's say I have demand in the demand forecast of 1,000, I sell 500. What you're going to have is the demand forecast reduced to 500. It still equals 1,000. Okay, so it all works together. All right, let's step through this. Step 1, search for demand forecast. All right, I've created one. I'm going to show you the matrix and how it works. Then we're going to enter expected quantities by item and location and date. That's simple, right? All right. The second thing we're going to do is search for blanket sales orders, click new. We're going to enter the total contracted quantity and agreed price on the lines. I'm going to go further and say and when they need to ship. Put the shipment date on the line. And then from there, when we're ready to copy it down, we click one line and we enter the quantity to ship and make an order. So let's go into Business Central and take a look. Starting with our demand forecast. So a demand forecast, you can have multiple forecasts here. I've got one that I've already pre-created just to save time for today. It's not filtered by location, but I could if I wanted to. And here I can see it's net change, which means we need an additional 25.50 in this particular date of this particular product. And so you can enter in an amount quite easily just on the line. But you've also got the option to drill in and give more detail. And so this is where you get to the individual entries. I can see this is for Additum, is 2,000, 550 is for 365 ERP. Okay, and I can start entering some descriptive details and helping me. And what's cool is you can edit this in Excel. So you're effectively taking out the whole system into Excel, and you can, in the line, go in and enter what you need of which product and which particular dates and months, and press publish within Excel, and it will load it all the way back into your demand forecast for you, which is going to help you and then give you a summative report as to what we're needing of which componentry out of the inventory at which dates. You also can switch this to day, week, month, quarter, year, or an accounting period. Okay, that's pretty simple. So that is step 1, search demand forecast. Step 2, enter the quantities. We've done that. So now we have a demand forecast in the system. If I was going to a planning worksheet, this is not a sales role. This is just showing you what a procurement officer would do. They'll click prepare, calculate regenerative plan, master production schedule, master requisition plan. I'm going to go 4th of the 4th, 24 to the 1st, 4th, 25. And here, use which forecast. I'm going to use the forecast. So it's going to look for demand in those dates, plus use the forecast, combine it, and then your procurement officer will actually see what they need to act on. Super cool. All right, so step 3 here is to search for blanket order. Now, as we go into a blanket sales order, I have created one here, and I'm going to make it full screen. And if we have a look, it's the same as a sales order. You've got a customer, you've got the sell to details, I've got the order date and any of the miscellaneous details in the heading here. You can see I've created one line 12 times, the same item, quantity of 1,000, And if I scroll over, the main thing that changes here is the shipment date on every single line. If I go further down, I've got shipping and billing, and it says where I'm shipping it to, which is great. Okay, I can see this, I can see the shipping methods, and on the invoice details, it knows how we're going to set up this particular transaction, and everything's going to be 30 days, end of month. And if you've got currencies applied, so that here, it's a $24 million blanket contract for the year. How do we turn this now into sales orders? So I'm going to go into this column here, and I'm going to zero out the relative columns that I don't want to make yet. And I'm going to keep the top one here. It's called quantity to ship, right? And from here, I can go make order in the heading, make order. Do you want to create an order for the blanket order? Yes. An order has been created just like that. So it's now told me you got an overdue limit and the credit limit's been exceeded. That's great. That's your ribbon bar working. Let's go to sales orders. And in my sales orders, I will see here my sales order here for this particular 1,000 desks. There we have it. I've got my sales order created. Now that then draws down, we then pick, pack, and ship it. And if I was to do that, if I was to pick, pack, and ship that line, my blanket here that says, please, let's go over here, quantity to ship, okay? It then will update it with quantity shipped becomes 1,000 and quantity invoice becomes 1,000. And you can then see in your contract view for the year, how far have we delivered on that contract? If you want to have a meeting with the client and they say, how are we going with this particular of you supplying and sourcing these materials for me? You pull up the blanket order, you go, print a copy of it. Here you go, this is where we're at. And it gives you the update as to where you've got to with the multiple lines that you've agreed to supply for this customer. So what are the exceptions? What could go wrong? So if the planning worksheet does not suggest purchasing an item you forecast, check the items replenishment system and reordering policy. You've got to have the policy set on the item as well. If you don't have that set, and we went through this in the item setup, you must always have a reordering policy, which I set by default to order. So on receiving an order, we raise an order. It's 1 for 1. It's quite straightforward. Okay, so that needs to be flagged. If it's not working, go check that and we'll fix that for you. If it is working, a standard sales order is created for the call off quantity. The blanket order remains open and the quantity shipped field updates automatically once the child order is posted. So it is super cool. A couple of things here. We've created a demand forecast. We understood how forecasts drive into the MRP. We're created a blanket sales order for a long-term contract and we converted the off quantity to a sales order. So let's now step into our next video. This is where we take the sales orders we've created, because we've got quite a few there. We're going to ship and invoice them. And as we invoice them, we're going to receive the payment. Okay, so this really is, the ship and invoice is really process 1. Receiving payment is step 2. Let's just take you through it so you understand it. It's setting you up for the next couple of videos where we're going to really speed this up and show you how we can operate efficiently as a sales team. I'll see you in the next video.